Convention's Hassan Ayariga just gave us an outline of his plans for Ghana. And we want to quickly go to the question and answer. Before we call the first few groups, let me just take the liberty as the moderator to ask one quick question. Thank you very much for your presentation, sir. I heard during your speech that you support free education. You also mentioned a number of health facilities you would build. And then one thing that caught my attention was that children, women, and disabled who were disadvantaged could access unemployment benefits. My question to you is, how do you intend to raise the revenue for all this, seeing as I speak to you, our budget, 30% of it or more, is supported by donor funds. So what is the PNC's plan to raise revenue to achieve all these noble dreams?
Thank you very much. I would like to take the first question. If you please could repeat it again.
The question is that, how do you intend to raise revenue to achieve the projects you have outlined? Free health facility, free education, unemployment benefits. Where is the money going to come from?
Thank you. In the past government, the Kwame Nkrumah government, we used to have free education. Most of the agents sitting down here will tell you that we had a free education. The question is that, what happened to the free education that we had? That political parties will come and say, no, we are going to give you a free education, but we do have a free education in the past. What went wrong? Now the question is that, the problem of our country is evading tax. A lot of us do not pay tax. As we sit down here, if we want to look at the component of taxpayers in this country, I will tell you that less than 10% of our population pay tax. And if we have to put measures to be able to get everyone to pay tax, I believe we have enough money to pay everybody, as well as take care of the less privileged in the system, and as well save enough for the future leaders.
Thank you very much. We will take questions from Peace Ambassador for Election 2012, Angela Mensah from the Morning Angel International School in Dome. Since yours is a government for the youth, we'll start with the little ones. So Angela Mensah, please come forward and ask your question. After that, we'll take a question from the Trades Union Congress. Angela, please stand behind the mic near you. She has a mic, okay.
Good evening, distinguished guests. My name is Angela Mensah, an 8-year-old class 4 pupil of Morning Angels International School, Dome, and the Peace Ambassador for Election 2012. Before I ask my question, I want to thank the IEA for giving me the opportunity to be here this evening. Article 28, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana says that, I quote, every child has the right to be protected from engaging in any work that can be a threat to his health, education, or his development. Now to my question. Please, Mr. Ayariga, if voted as president, what are you going to do to ensure that all my brothers and sisters who are of school-going age, selling all kinds of things on the street, are sent back to the classroom for good education? And also, what are you going to do to ensure that we, the children in Ghana, will continue to enjoy the peace we are enjoying now, before, during, and after this year's elections? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Angela.
Yes, thank you, my little daughter. I'm happy that we are educating young kids to take over from us when we are gone. Education is a very important tool in our life. And as you can see, this young lady has demonstrated to us that without education, we cannot move forward. Now to your answer, to your question. Ghana, as we know, have enjoyed peace over 55 years. Senior members of this country have worked so hard for us to be able to enjoy this peace. And now, it is our turn to make sure that the peace that many, many senior citizens have worked for, we continue to maintain it. And that is why I said the PNC is not going to win by all cost. We believe in the politics of love, the politics of tolerance, the politics of honesty, and the politics of togetherness. If the presidential candidate of all the political parties are preaching peace and having to sit on one table and have dinner, I think it will incite the youth and the grassroots supporters that we are at peace together. But if we go out and make all sorts of inciting words, I believe it will be very difficult for us as a nation to be able to have that peace that we are looking for. So Hassan Ayariga, as a peace ambassador, as one of the presidential candidates for the 2012 general election, preach peace day in, day out. And this is one step that we have used to bring together all political parties to have one dinner and decide on the nature, the future of this country, so that we don't have some political parties saying one thing and doing another. So I believe that if we all work together as people of this nation and believe that without peace, nobody can rule, and we also believe that politics is not a tool for violence, and also believe that nobody can rule a bad nation, I believe we have the peace that we are looking for. Thank you.
I believe there was the first part of the question about what you would do to ensure that children involved in hazardous work, like selling on the streets, was removed. If you could address that.
In my last statement, I made mention that the PNC will give children, disabled, parents, and less privileged people unemployment benefit. What happened to our rural people is that when you go to the rural areas, and even in the urban centers, you find out that mothers send their kids to sell ice water, pure water, foodstuff by the roadside. Why? It's poverty. If we are able to reconstruct the system or rehabilitate the system whereby unemployment benefits are given to mothers at home and children, I believe nobody will send his or her child to trade anymore. Thank you very much.
We will take a question from the Trades Union Congress and then Ghana National Association of Teachers. Please come to the front, Nat, identify yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prince Asafoje from the Ghana Trades Union Congress. Mr. Hassan Ayariga, our question is, beyond the talk of job creation, what programs or policies do you and the PNC have for our Ghanaian labor market, given the current state of our labor market and institutions? And secondly, we want to know your position. Okay.
Please repeat your question. It wasn't clear.
All right. Okay. Our question is, beyond the talk of job creation, what policies or programs do you and the PNC have for our labor market, given the current state of our labor market institutions? And secondly, we want to know your position on the economic partnership agreement question. Thank you.
So two in one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beyond great jobs, job creation is industrialization, manufacturing, and formation. What you need to know is that if you create the jobs, the necessity of creating jobs is to absorb the people into working. And if we are able to decentralize the system where we have companies all over the country, believe me, Ghanaians will now not move from the north to the south in search of jobs. It will help economic development where rural-urban shift will stop, and we will have a decentralized government and nation, and Ghanaians will grow at all levels, and Ghana will not only be Accra or Kumasi, but it will be Tamale, North, and all part of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's move to the next question, please.
Thank you. I am Irene Duncan Adanusa, General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan Ayariga. I must say that I admire your passion and your recognition for the importance of education. I have listened to your policies and some of the things you would want to do. Some of them are being done. But I have a problem. My problem has always been with inequities, the issue of inequities in quality delivery in the system. I believe all of us admired the little girl, Angela, when she spoke, but can we say that that is what is happening in every part of the country? Can we as a nation generally sit down and think that many of our children from all over can compete on level ground with children in Christ the King and so on and so forth? I have a problem with inequity in the system. Maybe you can assure us, your government, that in 4 years you can assure us of 2 particular actions you would take so that we would all remember your government. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I made mention that we will change the willingness of teachers to impart knowledge. We will help teachers and transform them and equip them with all the necessary equipment they need to teach. As you know very well, that we have situations where some schools in Accra are more equipped than some schools in the north. So what we need to do is to make sure that we decentralize the system in a way that we don't have to come to Accra here to pick our books. Before schools open, teachers teaching at the deprived areas are given more incentives and initiated to move to the north to be able to educate the youth there. The problem has to do with accommodation and also has to do with the privileges that they do not get when they get to the north. If our government decentralized the system and reorientate and rebuild our economy, we will have a fair country where wherever you live, you feel like you are in Ghana and not feel like you are in North or South. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now take a question from the Child Research and Resource Center, Crescent. The representative is here, Susan Saba. Please come forward and ask your question. We would also take a question from the National Union of Ghana Students, so the rep should be getting ready.
Thank you. My question has to do with child protection in this country. Picking it up from Angela, when we talk about child development, the first thing that comes to mind is education and health of children, and rightly so. Very little, however, is said about nurturing and the protection of children in a safe environment. Child protection borders on child maintenance, child labor, social-cultural practices such as child marriage and perverted kinship fosterage, juvenile justice, institutional care, and its inherent challenges. Additionally, inappropriate media programs telecast at wrong times, fast emerging challenges associated with information communication technology, domestic violence, and many more. No matter the amount of investments one makes in education, without providing a safe and enabling environment for children to grow and develop, investments made in education will be a big waste. Granted that there are laws, policies, and administrative procedures directed at child protection issues in the country, the reality on the ground is that the systems and structures created to deal with child protection issues are underfunded. My question, sir, what agenda do you have to deal with the growing precarious environment that require aggressive and strategic measures for child protection, and therefore the need to strengthen institutions like the Department of Social Welfare, allied institutions, and or some high command that is well-resourced to deliver holistic protection for children across the country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
For your question.
Thank you very much. We have so many laws in this country. The problem of all these laws is implementation, and that is what we are facing. But to be very honest, I believe that education is the most important tool that we need to do and educate our people. The important person in this situation is the mother. The mother is well educated and honest and disciplined. Our kids will not be facing what we are facing today. If your mother takes good care of you, we don't need society to take care of you. The society is your mom, and if every mom is as careful and watch his or her children and educate them on what to do and not what to do, I believe we will solve this problem of the issue you are talking about.
Thank you very much for keeping it brief. We want to take a question from the Ghana Federation for the Disabled. We also have the Association of Building and Civil Engineering Contractors of Ghana, so they should be getting ready to ask a question. Kindly send the mic to the rep from the Ghana Federation of the Disabled to ask his question, and then ABCEGC, please get ready with your question.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ayariga, I'm very much impressed about your insightful presentation. And I must say that this is the first time I'm at a gathering where the presenter takes time to also talk about person with disability. And I admire your passion for mainstreaming disability issues in your development, your vision. And since today is you are starting your campaign right here, it was my expectation that you would have drawn the attention of the organizer to an omission. Right now, people are watching you presenting on TV, but there is no sign language interpretation here. So that means that a section of the population are excluded from knowing what you are saying. They won't understand you, and they won't hear you. So I think the mainstreaming of disability issues should have started right here. And then I was also expecting that maybe you would touch on the Person with Disability Act 2006, Act 715, which has been there since 2006 today, and the implementation is still a mirage. The legislative instruments are not ready, but there are provisions in the Act. We do not need to require legislative instruments for implementation. Those are not also in force. I can cite a few examples like ASA now, when they talk about this, accessibility, physical accessibility, there is nothing like national standard for construction of ramps and anything. People are just doing whatever they want to do. I was expecting that maybe you come out with some clear outline as to how you will ensure that the Person with Disability Act will be fully implemented in addition to the recently ratified UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Thank you very much for your question. Honorable Ayariga.
Yes. We are all Ghanaians, irrespective of how we look like or what we can do and what we cannot do. Our unemployment benefit is meant to take care of much of the people with disabilities. But let me tell you, when they mention disabilities, it doesn't mean that the disabilities cannot do or perform. Most of them are more intelligent than some of us sitting down here. So we will encourage them and tap their talents and make sure they are much, much comfortable than they are in this present situation. And in that way, we will help build Ghana and distribute equal benefits to reach them so they can be able to live without fear or favor.
Thank you very much.
Without fear, thank you.
We'll take a question from the Association of Building and Civil Engineering Contractors of Ghana. Net Right, please get ready with your question.
Thank you.
Please move close to the mic.
Mr. Ayariga, in your address, I think you mentioned some critical areas which you will tackle when you are voted into office as president. Some of the areas you mentioned was education, health, housing, to mention a few. And we are contractors, and you cannot have any of these without having fiscal facilities in place. But at the moment, we have problems, or we have had problems in this our industry. So now, my question. It appears governments decide to embark on projects without adequate funding provision. So we are saddled with delayed payments. Now, anytime we fail to pay contractors, there is a default on huge loans taken from the banks, and the implications are huge for the financial sector. This is killing our economy. It's killing our workers, killing us as contractors. We think there is too much chaos in our construction industry. Mr. Ayariga, what would you do differently to cure this cancerous problem if you get elected?
Thank you very much.
One.
Please make it brief. We have others.
It's very brief.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we need a construction industry development board to regulate the construction industry, considering the myriad of problems, including the almighty judgment desk that we are all faced with?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, my brother contractor. In my submissions, I made mention that he who fails to plan plans to fail. If our economy or our nation, our leaders do not look at our budget before awarding contracts, then definitely we will have a situation like your own. In order for us to be able to move away from what we are doing, we should be able to have a plan. And that plan includes all sectors of the economy. If you have such a development plan, it will help in the way and manner in which we will distribute our budget. Number two, you made mention of whether you should have a scheme. I believe that if you fail in one thing, the next thing is to re-strategize. And if we do that, we'll be able to come out of where we are. So we need it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just a quick note, while apologizing that we don't have the sign language translation live on Multi-TV, the program would be delayed on Metro TV and Ghana Television, and we understand that the sign language translation will be done from the studio of Ghana Television. So viewers will not be deprived of that facility if they were watching this delayed broadcast on GTV and Metro TV. Thank you very much for the question. We'll take a question from Net Right and then also from the Ghana Mental Health Association.
Thank you. Mr. Ayariga, I'm pleased that you seem to place a lot of emphasis on the role of women within your delivery. You spoke about how women are basically the deliverers of many of your programs, and if women are empowered, a lot will take place. But I'd just like to say, in spite of the guarantees of equal treatment provided by the Constitution, in practice, we find that Ghanaian women continue to be subject to discrimination in a number of areas. You can mention the economic sphere, you can mention the social areas. And so, for instance, women find themselves not equally paid in terms of work. And we have, there is experience of women facing greater difficulties in accessing financing for production purposes. So what we as Netrite would like to know is what kinds of policy measures would a PNC government put in place to tackle what we see as this effective discrimination against women and ensure that the rights guaranteed under the Constitution would be attained.
Thank you very much for your question.
In my submissions, I made mention that politicians say one thing and do another. If you quite remember, what we need in this country is implementation. People say a lot of things, but implementing them is the problem. Our government will make sure we implement anything that we put across. And by doing so, your problems and that of my younger sisters will be solved.
Thank you very much. We have a representative from the Ghana Mental Health Association and the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Please come forward and ask your question.
Bishop Godson King Akpalu, President of the Ghana Mental Health Association. In your presentation, you touch on a very pressing issue. And if I should be empowered, tonight, I will usher you into the office of the president. Sure. Do that. That is mental health. Now, my question. Death by suicide among Ghanaians keeps occurring every day as reported by the media. Evidence shows that 95% of all suicides and attempted suicides is from mental illness, mostly depression. Yet the criminal code criminalizes attempted suicide. What steps will you take as president should you be voted to repeal this code? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. The last paragraph I presented was that unemployment benefit will be introduced in our system. Depression comes from poverty. A lot at times is poverty. We in this country have issues concerning depression. And as you know, if you get up early in the morning and your family cannot get to eat, your wife cannot get to common water is even a problem. Believe me, you lock yourself in the room and that will happen. But our government will make available benefits that will take care of people who are not employed, and that will take away the problems of depression. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your answer. A rep from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport.
Thank you very much. My name is Godwin Mensah, the president of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Ghana. I like your enthusiasm. And I am from the transportation and logistics industry. Our economic life and social well-being is dependent on transportation systems that are safe, reliable, clean, and able to efficiently move our people and goods. It has been stated elsewhere that 90% of the food that comes on our table is brought to the table by women and children. For us, as a transportation institute or a professional institution in transportation and logistics, this is a very serious